Good afternoon and welcome everybody to Getting Personal with Parkinson's Live, a weekly conversation series. I'm Caroline Colas, the Senior Director of Health and Wellness for the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. And I'm the Program Coordinator for the Edmund J. Safra Parkinson's Wellness Program, supported by New York's largest healthcare provider, Northwell Health. For over 12 years, the JCC has been hosting programs for people living with Parkinson's. If you are somebody who has been impacted by Parkinson's, you can participate. Please check out our link at www.mmjccm.org/Parkinson's. All you need to do is fill out an intake form, and then you can register for our classes and programs. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is a program that's designed for anyone whose life has been impacted by PD, for family members as well as friends. So please feel free to share this link if you're watching with others so they can hear about it, and spread the news, spread the word. We want this conversation, of course, to be personal and help put a face to Parkinson's. So if you have ideas for a future show or somebody that you would like us to interview, or you yourself would like to come on the show, please contact Whitney Chapman, wchapman@mmjccm.org, and let her know. Speaking of Whitney, I am so excited because we are pulling Whitney from behind the scenes today to interview her. Whitney is a longtime colleague of mine and a friend, and she has been teaching in the Parkinson's Wellness Program since its inception. She's served as many capacities with me as an administrator, a teacher, an event producer. And I'm just really excited for you all to get to meet this really special woman and person. We're going to do something very new, and rather than a pre-recorded segment today, we're going to actually have Whitney come on and talk with me. And then we have two of her students, Tom Devine and Anita Goodman, who are actually going to do some of the yoga moves with her. So you can get a little flavor and a little sense of what her classes are like. Whitney, would you come on to the screen and say hi?
Hi. Nice.
How you doing?
Good. Well, excited
yes.
to be here.
So you're actually calling in from upstate New York.
Yes, I'm near Woodstock, New York today before I head back to the city.
Gotcha. And your classes have been at the JCC in the brick and mortar building for a very long time, but since we've been on COVID, you've been teaching online. How has that been for you? What are the pros and the cons?
It's very interesting. The cons are that I just miss seeing people and being intimate and being that close. The pluses are we still get to connect. We still get to have a class together. And we've gotten little sneak peeks into everybody's homes or where they're living. So we learn a little bit more about each other. But it's also a way for some people, especially if transportation became an issue or is an issue, or the concerns that we've all experienced going through COVID have been an issue, that people can participate in the safety. And so it's been nice to be able to connect in a new way. As a teacher, I've had to learn how to teach in front of a camera versus, in person, and learning how to read bodies and energy, how people's energies are feeling that day. But I'm grateful. I'm really grateful that we've been able to keep going.
And why do you think that yoga, which is one of the many things you teach, you also teach melt, you teach Pilates, you've even taught us spin class or two, and other things. Sarah subbed for Sarah Berg, and Whitney and I are partners in fitness, and oftentimes if someone doesn't show up, we are brought in to teach one of those classes, and we are certified in many different things. But why yoga for Parkinson's in particular? Why do you think yoga is such a good modality for people living with PD?
I think there's a lot of reasons why yoga is helpful for people living with Parkinson's, as well as just all of us in general, especially during this unique time. For me, when I got attracted to yoga, it was the understanding of learning how to be present to what is. That yoga teaches us to be in this moment, not in the past and not worrying about the future, but to be in this moment. And the teachers that I have worked with have all come from a tradition, varied traditions, but there's a common thread in my training that was about learning to listen and the inquiry of what your practice is. So learning how to pay attention to the sounds and the feelings that your body has, what's going on today, which may be different tomorrow. It may be different next week. It may be different in a half an hour. And so learning how to better understand what I'm feeling and how my body is moving is one of the aspects that I think has been really enriching. Because with Parkinson's, when the signals aren't quite happening from what my students have taught me, being able to realize, wait a minute, I want my foot to move forward and it's not moving forward. So how can I be patient? How can I try to feel or sense or use others' tactile references or techniques that many disciplines offer to be able to do what I need to do or what I want to do? The other thing I think it has given my students, and definitely given me in my own practice, is that chance to breathe and to learn how to calm myself down when I'm anxious, when I'm spinning, when I'm frustrated, and to have more skills in my toolbox to be able to find that. And then I would say the last thing that many of my students really recommend or responded to would be the ability to stretch. That part of what happens with Parkinson's for some people is that rigidity, the body starting to tilt in one direction or another, to shift. And so being able to find the edges of their body again, to be able to stretch and to expand, to find greater length. Those are the things that I think are probably the top three. And I know when I first started teaching and developing this program, I come to teach usually things that I know and things that I experience. And so Parkinson's was something I didn't know about. And I had to study and learn, but it's not something that I can experience in my own body. So I relied on the feedback of my students, and still do, for what is helpful, what works. But I knew that those basic principles that I just talked about could be applicable and helpful in the management of daily activity and just feeling good in your body.
Yeah, for sure. And can you give an example of what you mean by tactile sensations?
Sure. So sometimes when we stretch, right, or we want to stretch, and my hands are going to go out of screen here, but you'll reach and being able to feel, can you feel your shoulder blades squeezing behind you? And can you feel your arms reaching out in space? Sometimes we'll use one hand to help stretch the other so that we can pull. When I'm live in class with the permission of my students, sometimes it'll be something just as simple as a touch, being able to touch. Like if I want my arm to move and it doesn't quite want to straighten or move, sometimes just by touching, it gives a tactile reference to the nerves, and then, oh, that's what you want me to do, right? So being able to teach ourselves how to do things that we can help our body move, touching different parts of our body in ways to signal the nerves and the muscle response so that we can move forward. And then
this idea of supporting the body in its design and its effort to move is one that sort of runs through our program as a thread, meaning empowering our participants to really think of how can I support my body, which is designed to find something called homeostasis, which is balance. How can I support that? Right? My body is living with Parkinson's. My body isn't, in fact, some would say dancing with Parkinson's. So what can I do knowing that, that's going to help my body stand up straight, that's going to help my body or stand in alignment, and whatever straight is, because straight is different for different people. Is that along the lines of what you're talking about from a yogic perspective, or?
Absolutely. It's learning how that as we live in our bodies, which we're designed to do, the body's constantly changing, right? Different cells regenerate every so many months or days or years, depending upon what part of the body. So we're changing all the time, whether we feel it or not. And then you add something like Parkinson's, which is disrupting how the body may naturally move or may naturally get signals from the brain to the nerves to the tissues. So when we can start to heighten our awareness of it, then we can empower ourselves with choices, with modalities, skills, tools that can help us continue to move forward and live in our body as best we can. And I know, Caroline, you teach Nia, and Nia shares many of those same principles. There's a lot about yoga and Nia that are very similar. Same with some of our other programs, the different modalities, that common thread. And it's really about, for me, how can I empower my students and put more tools in their toolbox so that they can continue living their lives? Because guess what? They're human beings that happen to have Parkinson's. You know, I don't teach to Parkinson's, I'm teaching to human beings who've had amazing full lives. And I want to give them whatever I can give them through the skills that I've learned from yoga that continue to empower them and make them feel good when there are days that just the mechanics of Parkinson's impacting their body may start to want to pull them down.
Right. Speaking of your students, I would love to invite onto the call Anita and Tom. If you, and maybe we can give a little bit of an example and say hello to them. Yeah, I know Tom's unmuted, and we'll see. There he is. Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Where are you calling in from? Are you in New York?
In West Hartford, Connecticut.
Wow, in West Hartford, Connecticut. This is amazing. And
commuter to the city.
Okay, okay. And how long have you been taking class with Whit?
Years and years.
Years and years.
Interrupted only by broken bones.
And Anita, welcome to the call.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And how long have you been taking with Whit?
You know, it seems to add up, but not really. I think, I was trying to think about that. I think maybe it's been about 5 years.
About 5 years, yeah. If you can come a little closer to the screen, Anita, I think we'll be able to hear you a little bit better. Sometimes Zoom goes in and out there. So welcome to both of you. Clearly you've both been taking the class for a long, long time. Whit, would you kind of go through some movements for us with them? We can just have a little sample for everybody.
So normally in class, we do things seated, and then depending upon the day, how people are feeling, we do standing. But today I'm going to keep it very simple. And I hope those of you that are watching will join us. Just come and play. Know that there's the anonymity that I can't see you, unfortunately, on Facebook. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to move for what feels good. So let me just move my chair back a little bit so you can see more of me. And I know it's a little bright. Hold on one second. All the technology perks we get to have with Facebook, with live. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to take your hands and pull the flesh of your buttock muscles away until you find your sit bones, and wiggle them around, and you'll know you have a bony bottom. And then feel those sit bones and let the bones get heavy into the chair or whatever you're sitting on. And then check your feet and try to place your feet in a comfortable position that you can sit and feel your feet on the floor. Now, hold on to the sides of your chair or your couch or whatever you may be sitting on, and take a moment. You're not going to see my feet here, but I want you to have a little temper tantrum and just kind of pound and step on your feet a little bit. You can make some noises. I like making noises in class. And then stop. Do you feel a little tingling maybe going on in your feet, maybe traveling up your legs? Okay, so we've just in a positive way stimulated the nerve endings in the bottom of our feet just to wake them up. And so for some of my students, they say getting out of bed is one of the big challenges. So this is a great thing when you've rolled out of bed and before you get going to kind of pound on your feet. So now we feel those sit bones heavy in the chair. And I want you to think of sitting down deeper and as you sit down deeper, your spine will naturally get a little bit taller. Yeah. And then without doing anything, what has happened is your lower belly muscles have started to engage and your pelvic floor has started to lift. And then take your shoulders and circle them around a few times. And in my class, I like to make sound because there is a whole style of yoga that's all about chanting and singing and making sound. And O sounds a whole lot closer to Om than you may think. And then circle the other direction. And as you circle, notice, are your shoulders moving today? Are they smooth like peanut butter? or are they crunchy like peanut butter? And I like when we move our shoulders, ideally for them to be smooth, like smooth peanut butter, but notice if you're a little crunchy today. And then take your shoulders and raise them up. Take a deep breath, let them drop down and let out a big old sigh. And do that again. Deep breath in and let out a big old sigh. One more deep breath and let out a big old sigh. I'm going to turn a little bit sideways just so you can see your body a little bit more. We're going to do what's called the dolphin. So place your hands on your thighs. If you're sitting in front of a table, make sure that you don't hit your head on the table for this one, but we're going to round ourselves backwards. Hands are on your thighs. You're going to dive your nose towards your knees and then send your nose forward to come back up. And I'd like you to do that a few times. So we round back, we dive our nose to our knees, and then we send the nose forward and up. Now, when we think of dolphins jumping up through the air, we tend to think that they are joyful. So I want you to see if there's anything joyful in this undulation that is happening in your spine. Try it a few more times, just sort of feeling what that feels like. Maybe as you come up, you can think of lifting the corners of your mouths ever so slightly to create a smile. And that smile will release hormones and endorphins that actually boost your immune system and sort of flood your body with good feelings. So try that one more time. And then as you come right on up to sitting, find those sit bones again and let yourself get anchored in. We're going to start with what's called seated side bend. So you can take whichever arm works for you, turn the palm outward, and we're going to reach up, hold on to your thigh or the side of your chair, and you're just going to tip over, but keep your right cheek on the chair or your left cheek, whatever side that is for you. And then as you inhale, think of painting the sky, reaching up and coming back. And then trying the other arm. So turn the palm out to go up, hold on to your leg or the side of what you're sitting on. Make sure that this opposite side stays heavy, and then exhale. So as we talked about earlier, that how do you use that tactile reference? So this time, take your arm up, and if you can or want to, hold on to your wrist. Give it a little tug, work in the range of motion that works for you, and see if you can lengthen your elbow. Then bring your hand back to the ground if you like, and give it an extra little side bend. See if that gives you any more length. Good. And then on your inhale, float up and take it over. And let's take the other side one more time. Reach it up. You can, again, hold your wrist. If that's too far away, you can take the back of your elbow and just give it a little guidance. And then bring your hand to the side of your chair or the thigh and big side bend here. Roll that rib cage back. And then on your next breath, inhale, lengthen to come back up.
Wow. How did that feel, you guys? I feel more loose.
Great.
Great.
So, Tom, what was attractive to you about Whitney's yoga class? What do you get out of taking yoga?
I'm going to give you the answer that you don't want to hear. It was accidental. Being a weekend commuter, this was the only class available on Friday. But it was a wonderful accident.
I love that answer, actually. And Anita, how about you? How did you first hear about it, and what makes you stay?
I first started taking classes at JCC. I took them. I was a big exercise person before I had Parkinson. I was really a big exercise person. So I was thrilled to find the exercise class, the program there. I took your class to begin with, because that was the only class that you could take to start classes. And I always loved yoga. So when I saw there was yoga, I just took it because I always loved yoga. So that's how I took it. That's why I started it.
Awesome. And Tom, what would you say to someone who has never taken Whitney's yoga class before, who might have Parkinson and might be thinking, well, this might be something I want to try?
I would say don't look only at the catalog copy, because it's so much, much more. The catalog copy, the physical exercises are only maybe a third of what you do. The rest of it is interacting with Whitney, because the relationship that the students forge with her is amazing. And she cares. She really cares, unlike so many. Anita, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So having the privilege to work with her is fantastic. And the third leg of the stool is the other students. We've come to be a little clan in that group, at the JCC. We look out for each other's backs. We get information from each other. We get referrals. We talk about treatment modalities. So all of those are wrapped up together in class.
Beautiful. I agree. She is magical. And Anita, anything, I see you nodding your head. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, aside from the physicality, there's a lot of spirituality. She always brings in new things, anything she learns about. So we're doing some qigong in the class. We do various things that she tells us to smile all the time because that makes you feel better. She wants to hear good things that happen in your life. I mean, she touches every element of your mind and soul. That's like exaggerated maybe, but it sort of is. So you feel wonderful from her class. That's exactly how I feel, just wonderful. I leave that class very happy, very happy.
Wow. And Whitney, can you talk a little bit more about that? I think you said to me once that you learned about the power of gratitude when you got a certificate in positive psychology, and you sort of brought that into your class by asking people about what they were grateful for. Is that what Anita and Tom are referring to, or one of the things?
It's definitely one of the things. So every day, since we're in Zoom and we don't get to be around, I wanted to try to find ways that we could connect and learn about each other. So we start class every week with what are you grateful for? What has happened since the last time I saw you that is something good? Now, it could be like one of our students last week shared that she thought her refrigerator freezer had gone and she was going to have to buy another one, and the repairman saved it. So her good thing was not only did she save on having to buy a refrigerator freezer, but she went and bought coffee ice cream for herself. So we all celebrate coffee ice cream. Tom has shared various stories about like meeting one of his children's significant others for the first time. And we learned, like that was happening. And we all said, well, how did it go? And they got a thumbs up. So, learning about what's important, who these people were besides having Parkinson's. And then we all get to share in the mitzvahs and the good things that are happening. And we've even had a couple of situations where somebody like can't think of anything, but someone has 2 or 3 others. So that we'll sell you a good idea, that you can share.
Sell you a gratitude. And Anita, I know that you're a lover of ice cream, so that's perfect.
Oh, yeah. Remember that. Well, I just wanted to share this one little thing. The first year I took with Whitney, at the end of the season, she took us all out across the street to the ice cream place and bought us all ice cream on JCC, by the way. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say that, Whitney, but that's
no, I approved of that expense.
So lovely, so lovely. That's how she is.
Yeah, so no, she is.
So, she touches you as a human being, not just in ways that are helping you, which she does help tremendously, but she just, is concerned with everybody.
Yeah. And can you take us through another, what a lot of people don't realize is how extensive your training is and how much time you spend on continuing education. You can tell us a little bit about that, but I also would love for you to take us through maybe a breathing exercise or how you conclude a class as well.
Perfect. Yeah. So my training started 20 some years ago in interdisciplinary yoga. And along the way, I've studied Ashtanga and Vinyasa and Yin yoga and meditation. Qigong is what I'm currently studying just for myself. And all of those disciplines deal with the breath. And so let's start by bringing your hands into prayer position. And we call this Anjali Mudra. And you can let your thumb, if you like, rest at your sternum or your heart. And the intention here is that your good thoughts are going out through your fingers and out into the universe. So as well as you could also think of this as you're making a wish or your prayers, whatever your beliefs may be. So we're going to start by just feeling your breath. So taking in a breath at your own rhythm, pace, and then let it go. And I want you to keep noticing your breath. So what can you notice about your breath? First of all, can you notice the length of your breath? Does your breath feel dry or moist? Is it easy or does it require effort today? Can you notice in your breath, as you finish your inhale, there's this moment before you exhale. And then at the end of your exhale, there's this little moment before you inhale, the in-between. So I want to invite you to take a few breaths and I want you to play with the in-between. What does it feel like if you hold it a little bit longer? Or maybe you go through it a little bit faster. And what I love about the in-between is that it is a reminder of the present. Because the inhale just happened, that's the past. We're getting ready for the exhale, which is the future. And right in between is where we are. So just feeling that in between. And then letting yourself find the rhythm that works for you. And then when you feel ready, I want your eyes to open and your gaze to be a little soft. And we're going to work with one little mudra, which is a hand position. So let your eyes open gently, and you want to feel those sit bones deep into the chair or whatever you're sitting on. And we're going to take one arm, we're going to swoop it up and around. And then as it comes down, bring it right down into your center, fingertips pointing up, and then take your other arm, it can be more in your lap, and just hold that energy. And then swoop the other side. So take the other arm up. It's like you're bringing in all that goodness from the outside. You're bringing it right into you and you're going to hold it. That's a container. And what I love about this mudra, and you can keep doing it a couple more times, is that is for me, when my hand comes down, it's like I feel this power, like I have got this. I am strong, and yet I'm receptive. One more time. Deep breath. And just hold. And keep your hand here and circle one more time and bring both hands back into prayer. And in yoga, we traditionally use the word namaste to end our practice, which means many different translations, but I honor the light in you that is in me. And so when we honor each other, we are one. So I'm going to invite you to look around our room today here on Facebook and namaste.
Namaste. Wow, that was such a wonderful sort of lunchtime mini yoga break. Thank you, Anita and Tom, for joining us. Whitney, do you have anything to share before we close today? Anything else that you wanted to share? And then Anita and Tom, I'd love to hear from you as well.
First of all, I would just like to thank the JCC for providing me 12, 13, 14 years ago for the experience to start to teach in this community, both the training and the support in developing this program over all these years. And I want to thank my students who have in many ways been my teachers. They have taught me what's helpful and they have shared their lives with me. So it's been a great, great journey. And the other thing that I would want to say to anyone who has never tried yoga or any modality, or you're living with Parkinson's, is be brave, because you're braver than you know, and just come to class. And I tell people when you're starting with yoga that it's like apples. There's different kinds. You like a red apple, you like a green apple, you like it caramelized. Just find one that works. Find any modality, movement modality that feels good to you. For me, it's yoga. For you, it might be Mia, or it might be boxing or some other program, but find something that feels good to you and just keep coming. And it's the thing I love about yoga. Another thing, oh my God, I've said that too many times, is, is that it's a practice. We never get to the end. So just when you've accomplished one thing, there's more layers to uncover. And we show up, we are where we are. Some days we're great, some days we're But I know that when you come to class, whether you do the whole practice or a little bit, or you just listen to it, you will feel better for having been in the room. So just the hardest part is just to show up. And so my hope is that you will come, give it a try. Would love to meet you if I haven't met you already. And Tom and Anita, I can't thank you enough for being here today and for being such devoted students. And they give me a lot of good feedback too. So I'm just grateful for their honesty and their friendship.
Tom, anything you want to say before we close?
I too would like to thank the community for providing this resource to us. I don't know what we would do without it. Parkinson's, we put the best face on Parkinson's in our experience, but it's really a tough thing to go through. And to be given others who are making the same journey and devoted teachers who are devoted teachers, we'd never find anyplace else, I don't think. So on behalf of the whole group, and we were deputed to speak on behalf of the group, I want to thank the JCC and thank you, and thank especially Whitney for the dedication and the love that she shows.
Oh my goodness.
And we had a comment in the on the Facebook from Al, I think, Tenjuchi. I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly. Great time to realize the positive connections between yoga and PD. Yeah. Oh, this is Miriam Bram's friend in Japan. So Miriam Bram was our first Getting Personal with PD interview, and she told us about the World Parkinson's Congress and how she had gone to Kyoto and met had been put together with somebody else as a buddy. And this person is Ai, and she is Miriam's buddy, and she commented in the chat, "Oh, that's so wonderful." We want to get her on the show. She only speaks Japanese, so we would have to have a translator, but we can do it, right? Yeah. Anita, you were going to say something.
No, Tom said it so well. I don't know what else to say except that it just really is wonderful for us. And to meet everyone else who has it, and to have a community of people who have it. We've made friends through this group. We've made friends. And we've learned a lot of resources, and everyone helps one another. And of course, Whitney is just wonderful. And really, all the teachers are really very good in the program. They really are, you know. So there's something for everybody. I don't know what to say except that thank you so much. Thank you.
I think you've said it all. Well, let me tell everybody how they can find out more about Whitney's class. Whitney teaches yoga for Parkinson's at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan in our Parkinson's program, the Edmund J. Safra Foundation program. And it takes place on Fridays from 3 to 4:15 online. And we'll put the information about this in the comment section so you can share it, you can come. And if you'd like to sign up for our Living with Parkinson's programs at the JCC, please see the link for the intake form. You need to fill out an intake form. It's very simple though, it's not very complicated. And you can also find out more about Whitney by visiting her upcoming website, www.whitneychapman.com. Now join us on Monday, June 28th, when we talk with Norma Loeb. I think you guys are really going to be interested in what Norma has to say. She's the founder of the Lewy Body Resource Center, and she was a caregiver of her mom who had Parkinson's, and it turns out had Lewy body dementia as well. And the reason why it's so important to know whether you have Lewy body dementia or not is that you have to titrate the medications differently. There's a whole lot of complications or interesting factors to know about that, which we're going to discuss, and it can impact your lifestyle a great deal if you know these secrets that Norma is going to share with us. Okay, they're not really secrets, but this information. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Whit, any final words?
No, just thank you. And I'll be here next week, but behind the scenes. So
thank you for coming from behind the scenes so that we could meet you, Whit, and celebrate you. And thank you, Anita and Tom. Take care, everybody. Until next time, be well and be safe.